This is Lewis Hart for Boxing Social in association with Empire Fight Store Forged Irish Stout. Delighted as always to be joined with Eddie Hearn here in Riyadh, Saudi Arabia. The first sort of grand of rivals kicks off the 5v5, you versus Frank Warren. I suppose summing it up all now and taking it all in, how's things, how are we feeling?
Incredible. I mean, just to see, you know, the 42 billboards up around here, and you know, the event coming closer. Really, it was a dream, really, of His Excellency. I mean, remember the press conference where he randomly come out with it, and we've been building and working at it ever since. I mean, Usyk Fury happened here 2 weeks ago, which was unexpected because it was supposed to happen in February, and it's kind of like stolen a little bit of our thunder.
I was going to say, do you feel like it has?
Yeah, I mean, it's very close, but obviously at the same time, now we're seeing huge amounts of interest, not just because it's Matchroom against Queensberry, because also it's the team concept. You're going to have points running throughout the night on Saturday night. We may need Big Deontay to win the last fight by knockout to win the whole tournament. So this is just the start of this concept, by the way. Like, this is, you know, there's 5 fights that we're doing on Saturday. We could do 20 between Matchroom and Queensberry at so many different levels, and I'm really excited for the format and the fights. It's 5 world-class fights that are all complete pick'ems.
You posted a photo on your Instagram and it was your dad, Don King, and Frank, and I suppose that's now the tide's turned. I suppose in replace of Don King is His Excellency.
Really.
Yeah, but you know, like in the photo, so it shows there like it's almost like this is almost deeper than boxing, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, it wasn't me saying that Turkey had a shakes.
No, not at all. I didn't want it to think like that. No.
But you know, it's just another iconic figure within the game. That picture with my dad and Don King and Frank Warren, at the time, they were really 3 of the biggest promoters in the world. And although His Excellency, I guess, isn't technically a promoter, he's arguably the most powerful man in boxing right now. So, you know, that photo is very powerful as well. And, you know, I think without him, the reality is me and Frank would have never spoken. You know, we're both stubborn, we're both long in the tooth. We just would have left it. And we would have carried on our careers and never really spoken. But what it's done is it's kind of like given us both a new lease of life in our jobs, because we're actually enjoying it now. Like, we're on the plane, we're talking, we're planning fights, we're running through the card, we're debating who's going to win, who's not going to win, and there's so much potential between the companies to just take British boxing to another level, and this is just the start of it on Saturday night.
You mentioned there about sort of the working with Frank, and for the time where like you did start working together, you probably couldn't have been any further apart and couldn't have been going at each other more. Like, if you're being honest, right, when sort of the first card or the first proposal got put together for you for the 23rd of December, Day of Reckoning card, sorry if you've been asked this before, but was there like any apprehension or like, you know, I haven't spoken to this guy?
I never expected it to play out the way it's played out. You know, I mean, I never thought that we would get along. I never thought that we would actively be looking to work together more. Do you know what I mean? And I feel that the 5v5 really is what, although that card brought us together somewhat, this is the night that actually really does, because we've matched this card. Like, we've lived it, we've breathed it, we've come through with a concept. Everything you see is built by Queensberry and Matchroom and His Excellency. So, you know, the concept's quite amazing, and you know, I never expected us to get on like we do, and that's not just me and Frank, that's across the business. We work well together, and you know, I know some people like the beef, especially you boys, but like,
never.
This is good for boxing, really good for boxing.
Just a couple sort of things to pick out from the card. Daniel Dubois versus Filip Hrgovic. Many expected that the vacant IBF would be on the line for that. That doesn't seem the case. Hrgovic happy to let the undisputed beef.
You know, there's got to be a process that you go through if someone's applying for an exception, if someone's appealing an exception, if someone's appealing to deny an exception, and that's going to take longer than 1 week. So, you know, you have to see what happens. Very unlikely for that to be in place on Saturday, but it is likely that the winner of that fight fights Anthony Joshua for the world heavyweight title in September. So massive permutations around that fight.
And as for Deontay Wilder, do you believe now it's like now or never for him? It's almost a last chance to lose.
I think it's now or never for both. You know, both guys have to win that fight, and you know, if you lose that fight, I don't know what they're going to want to come back to. You know, and I really like the look in Deontay's eyes this week. It's going to be a very tough fight. Zhilei Zhang is very dangerous, but I expect him to win that fight by knockout.
Couple ones away from the card. So that was real. Jack Catterall's deal with Matchroom is up. Obviously coming off a big win against Josh Taylor. What is sort of the next for him? Ideally, you want to extend that deal?
Absolutely, yeah. You know, we had that option to do that fight. We did it. Get on very well with Jack. Get on very well with Sam. Already planning another fight for August for him. So yeah, we expect to extend that deal. I feel like we've done a great job for him. You know, boxed at Manchester Arena against Foley, then Linares headlining Liverpool, then Josh Taylor. So it's been a good run, and we'll work accordingly for the next one.
Just a final one from myself. A video came out yesterday of Scott Fitzgerald in the gym, looking in shape, ideally potentially having a comeback to boxing. Obviously, you've been his promoter for quite a while. Was it really good to see him on the straight and narrow?
Actually, he called me on Saturday. I was just laying on the bed before the show, about to get ready, picked it up, and it was Scott Fitzgerald, and it was great to hear from him. You know, sounded great. Told me he's coming back. I'm delighted for him. You know, he was unsavable, really, if I'm honest. You know, myself, Steve Wood done a great job, got him into into a rehab facility, and he just, you know, sometimes you need to hit rock bottom before you can actually bounce back, and I think that's what happened to him. Great to see him back in the gym. He said he's going to do a couple of weeks of sparring, then come and see me, and then hopefully the story continued. Great fighter, you know, and hopefully we can still do something in the sport.
I was going to say that. Do you see? It's a long way away now, but do you see a future with him at Matchroom?
Of course, he's a good fighter. You know, it's a long time out, and he's been through a lot. He's put his body through a lot, but the sparring will tell him where he's at, and I think it's a hell of a story.
Thank you, Eddie. I appreciate your time, mate. Top.